This is the WYBOT C2 Vision Robotic Pool Vacuum. Just looking at it, it's got a really sleek, streamlined shape. Nothing too bulky or awkward, just a solid, practical machine. It's not massive by any means, but it does feel sturdy when you pick it up, and the gray finish looks pretty high-tech and clean. I want to share my experience with this product since I've been using it for a while after getting it as a sponsor product for review. To be honest, when I was told it was AI-powered, I wasn't sure what that really meant for a pool vacuum. AI can be a buzzword sometimes, so I was definitely a little skeptical. But after spending some time with the WYBOT C2 Vision, I have to say, the features it offers, especially the AI camera, ended up impressing me more than I expected. The key features that stood out for me, and I think will matter to anyone thinking about upgrading their current pool cleaner, are pretty straightforward. The big one is definitely the AI camera. This isn't just a marketing term. The camera is actually integrated into the robot, and it helps the vacuum detect and lock onto debris in a way that a normal robot vacuum just can't do. From my experience, the biggest practical difference is that when the camera sees anything big enough, for example, a couple of leaves or small rocks, the robot will stop in its tracks and activate its suction in a stronger way. Sometimes, if it misses the debris on the first pass, it will circle back and try again, and usually ends up getting it after a few tries. I tried this myself by tossing about 4 or 5 rocks of various sizes into my pool. Out of all those, there was only one smaller piece that gave it any trouble. I was able to watch the robot spot it, pause, and make a real effort to pick it up, going over the spot several times until it finally succeeded. I thought that feature was genuinely impressive because most robotic pool vacuums just run their route without really responding to what's happening. The WYBOT C2 Vision's ability to see and react is pretty unique in this price range. Setting the vacuum up was easy, and for anyone new to robotic pool cleaners, I think you'll be just fine. Out of the box, there isn't a bunch of assembling required or anything complicated. The vacuum comes with a universal retrieval hook, which fits onto a standard pool pole. I actually used my 6-year-old pole and it worked perfectly, and a charging adapter. After I fished the unit out of the pool with the hook, I just gave it a quick shake to let any extra water drain, set it down to dry off a little, and plugged it into the adapter to charge. The charging process takes about 3 hours for a full charge, which then gives you enough battery to run for about 180 minutes or so, in eco mode at least. That's plenty of time for my medium-sized pool. One thing I noticed and appreciated is the indicator lights. When you hold the main button to turn on the unit, there's a nice, big color indicator. If it's blue, the robot's charged and ready. If you see another color, that means charging is needed. It's a simple touch, but very handy and user-friendly. When I turned it upside down to check out the underside, I was happy to see a large brush. This helps the robot scrub along the waterline and grips dirt from both the floor and the walls, which keeps everything a lot cleaner in general. The intake opening is also generous, big enough to easily suck up larger pieces of debris, unlike some older models where things get stuck. There's a rubber piece around the intake. It's not meant to fully seal, but it does help keep whatever is sucked inside from slipping back out if you turn the vacuum off or move it around. Once the cleaning cycle is finished, using the retrieval hook is much easier and safer than reaching into the water. I also like that, unlike some heavier machines, this robot strikes a good balance between feeling solidly built and being manageable for one person to deal with. It weighs about 24 pounds, which is heavier than older pool vacuums I've had, but with the hook, it never felt unmanageable. Now, let me talk about filters, which is something a lot of people ask about. It actually comes with a fine filter that you can install, or just run the unit without it if you prefer. Personally, I think it's worth using the fine filter, especially in spring and fall when there's a lot of small debris. I rinsed it under the hose and it was packed with all kinds of tiny particles. This part is really easy. Just open the latch, pop the filter out, hose it off, and put it back in. The filter compartment is well designed so you don't have to deal with a big mess every time. From my experience, the cleaning ability of the C2 Vision is really solid, especially if you have a lot of small debris blowing into your pool. I have some trees in my yard that constantly drop stuff into the water, so I got to really test it with a tough scenario. When I opened the filter after just one cleaning session, there was a surprising amount of dirt, leaves, and those rocks I threw in as a test. A lot of newer robotic cleaners claim to climb walls, but not all really do it that well. This one does, and the AI camera seems to give it better navigation. I saw the robot climb the sides all the way up to the waterline, scrubbing as it went. No getting stuck halfway or falling off randomly. It also never got tangled or lost, which are things I've struggled with in the past. I used the app a few times, which lets you control some of the settings and switch modes, and the instructions were clear enough for me to figure it out without needing to be a tech expert. A couple of times, I did have trouble with the app losing connection, but restarting the app fixed it. It wasn't enough to really frustrate me, but it's worth mentioning for anyone deciding between models. Another thing that's easy to appreciate is how quiet it runs. When I'm out back reading or having coffee, I barely notice it working. If you've used the older robotic vacuums, you'll remember how noisy they could be. So this is a nice upgrade. It's never once interrupted my relaxation by the pool. Now, not every part is perfect. One thing I've heard from other people, and I did notice myself, is that despite having solid navigation, it sometimes misses a small section of the pool or leaves a stray bit of debris behind, especially in the farthest corners. It's not a huge deal. I just scooped out the last bit myself, but I want to be honest. Also, since the vacuum is heavier than older models, if you don't use the hook, pulling it out by hand could be awkward for some people. But again, the retrieval tool they include makes a big difference. The docking station adhesive wasn't my favorite either. It struggled to hold the weight of the robot consistently when wet, so over time, I mostly just skip using the dock and charge it directly. I'd recommend this for anyone who wants to upgrade from their old pool robot, or anyone who just doesn't have the time to spend every week cleaning their pool. If you have trees nearby, or you end up with a lot of dirt and leaves in your water, this robot is especially helpful because it handles both big debris and all of those little bits that can make a pool look dirty, even after you've cleaned. It covers both floor and walls, and the battery lasts long enough for even bigger pools. In my opinion, the best thing about the WYBOT C2 Vision is how easy it is to use, and how much less I find myself worrying about my pool staying clean. I especially like the Vision feature. The camera actually does make the robot smarter and more responsive to dirt than anything I've owned before. It's perfect for anyone looking for convenience, reliable performance, and minimal hassle. From my experience, I've used a couple of other automatic pool vacuums over the years, but this one has genuinely had the least amount of babysitting. Once it's charged, just drop it in and let it do its thing. Even dealing with filter cleaning is fast and low stress. It really cut down on my maintenance time, and I find myself using the pool more just because it's always ready and clean. In conclusion, if you have a pool and want to make cleaning as effortless as possible, the WYBOT C2 Vision Robotic Pool Vacuum is a solid choice. It's not perfect, nothing is, but the features, especially the A-powered vision and strong filtration, really do work. I'm happy with the results, and I feel the convenience and clean water I get are worth it. Check the comments of this video for a link to see the current pricing of the WYBOT C2 Vision Robotic Pool Vacuum.